Hey guys, it's Jake here with E-Trailer. Today, Amber's helping us out a little bit. We're going to be showing you guys the best way, or in my opinion, what the best way to back up a trailer is. What we're talking about here is we're talking about backing your trailer into a storage facility like we have here. We're going to be parking it right here in this spot. You can see here we have a boat and another equipment trailer over there. And she is going to be backing up actually my 30-foot fifth wheel. She's never backed a trailer up this big before. But we're going to kind of give you some tips and tricks along the way, along with her, and see how well she does to back the camper up into that spot. The first thing you're going to have to keep in mind is your angle of approach. And what I mean by that is you can see my truck is facing here, and I did this on purpose to kind of simulate a storage facility. So when you're pulling into a storage facility or a campground, typically your camping spots will be at a road friendly angle, which means they're going to be angled like this so that when you pull up, you're just going to be able to back in diagonally into the spot. But here we have a spot that's completely perpendicular with the way that our truck is facing. That way you guys can see a little bit better the angles in which Amber is going to have to turn in order to get back into that spot. So we'll go ahead and start by having her pull forward. And what we're going to do when you pull forward, what you want is you want to pull far enough forward, so you can see I'm walking back a little bit further, and you want to pull forward to where you're far enough away from the spot to where it's not impractical for where you actually need to back into. So this is where your spotter is going to come into play. So your spotters you want to tell them to what angle to keep coming at. So I'm going to tell her to come a little bit more forward and turn to the driver's side in order to get the right angle of approach to be able to back into that spot. So you can see right now she's at a bit of the wrong angle. So I'm going to have her pull forward a little bit and turn towards me where I'm at to straighten the camper out and get the angle that she needs to back up. So that looks pretty good right there. So Amber, we're going to have you back up and turn your wheels to the passenger side. So those are the terms you need to use when you are the spotter with somebody backing up a camper, because they are using their mirrors and you are going backwards. What you want to do is you want to use driver and passenger so that the person driving knows which direction they need to go. So you can see we're getting closer to the spot that we want to be in. But one thing I do want to point out, if you never hauled a trailer this long before, much less a taller one, so when you're getting into campers, whether it's a bumper pole or a fifth wheel, they're going to be much taller than a trailer that you probably have ever hauled before. So as you can see here, I cannot see the mirror on the truck on the driver's side, which means she cannot see me, which means she can't see this corner of the trailer. So this is where it becomes important to be able to guide this person or the driver back into the spot. What you can do one of two things. If you've got three people, the best way to do it is to have one person standing back here just to make sure that they're not getting close to anything or they're not going to hit anything. But I typically like to stand out in front of the towed vehicle, or the truck that's towing the camper, or the car that's towing the camper, because then I can stand far enough in front of the vehicle to be able to guide them left and right, or driver and passenger, back into the spot. So one way you can communicate is you can use walkie-talkies, or you can actually use just put your cell phones on speakerphone. But while you're doing this, another helpful hint is you're going to want to hold the bottom of the steering wheel, as you can see Amber doing. This is not only going to keep your arms out of the way of seeing the mirrors, but it's also going to give you a little bit more control. You're going to be able to turn the steering wheel a lot more precise, because typically you're not going to have to make any huge adjustments on the steering wheel if you're backing pretty well straight into this spot. So now that we've mentioned the mirrors, I wanted to bring up, so your mirrors are only going to be helpful to a certain point. And what I mean by that is, so I have my mirrors, they have two different modes. And if you have a truck that's a larger truck or came with factory tow mirrors, you can typically either pull them out or you flip them up in the case of our Ram here. But it's not a bad idea to get a set of towing mirrors if you're towing with, let's say, an SUV or like either of those two up there. If you're pulling a small pop-up or anything like that, chances are the mirrors are so small on those that you're not going to be able to use them probably at all to be able to see your camper. So I definitely would recommend picking up a set of tow mirrors to be able to see what you're doing. Again, until a certain point you'll be able to use them, but then you're going to count on your spotter to be able to see where the back of your camper's at. So we'll just keep on going back here. So I'm telling her right now that she's probably good on this side, that we need to start going back straight and get a little bit more on this side. Yep, just like that. So see how she's now kicking the camper to the passenger side. So she's turning the tail end of the camper to the passenger side. So I'm going to stop her here just to show you, if you never heard of a trailer being jackknifed before, see how close this nose of this camper is getting to my truck. With fifth wheels, you'll have this if you have a short bed and you don't have a slider hitch on it. This is about the point to where you'd want to engage your slider if you did have one. I have a gooseneck conversion because I use my truck for other things, but this is when you would want to engage your slider to be able to back into the spot and not have to worry about hitting the nose of your camper on the cab of your truck. With a travel trailer, what you're going to have is this part, you're going to have the same angle, but this part of your truck down here, your bumper could potentially come in contact with the front of your camper. Now the reason this is so important is because one, you don't want to damage your tow vehicle, and two, you don't want to damage your camper because that wouldn't make for a very fun weekend. But when you get to this point, again, this is why a spotter is very, very important, because I can see that and she may not be able to see that from inside the cab of the truck because she's watching me, and two, she's trying to watch her mirrors. So this is a good example. So we're a little too far over on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to have her pull up. And this is another thing that you can do. Obviously, it's going to help if you have a little bit more space at the campsite. And but what you want to do is you want to, if you have enough room, straighten them out. The person driving, straighten out the camper and the truck, which you just do like I just did. You just go from side to side and back and forth until you get the camper a little bit straighter. Now obviously we have a little bit more room than you guys might have at the campsite, but what'll happen is you can get them straightened out a little bit better so that you have a better angle of approach to be able to go back a little straighter. So now we have that little bit better angle. You can see she's using her mirrors to be able, and if as long as you get a better angle, you can typically use your mirrors to be able to get a better angle to back it up into the spot. All right. Another good point to think about when you're backing up a trailer, especially if you're not the one driving, and if you are the one driving, you definitely want to take it slow, because there's not a huge hurry that you need to get into when you are backing your camper into the spot. We'll just go a little bit further. We'll stop there. So we'll go back here And what you want to do is when you're at the campsite, what you want to do is you want to go around, check all your surroundings, make sure you're clear, you got plenty of space behind you, between you and if you have neighbors back there. But the number one thing you want to do when you're backing up the trailer is just make sure you stay calm and collected, because what'll happen is if you go to readjust a few different times, you're going to get frustrated. Your spotter's going to get frustrated, and nobody wants to start their camping weekend like that. So I would say the biggest tip that I can give you is to stay calm and collected, and just take your time, get into the spot, and you'll be set up in no time.